Profiles and roles, as you may already know, form a very important part of user management in Zoho CRM. So these two settings are like the two sides of a coin for a user, and it is recommended that you create the roles and profiles beforehand before you start inviting users into your CRM account so that it's easier for you to map them to the relevant roles and profiles. Okay, so now in this video, we are going to look at a quick demonstration on how to set up these roles and profiles and how it affects a user's data access settings and CRM permissions and so on. Now, without further ado, let's get into the subject. Now, roles define the default data access flow in your organization. So, using the role hierarchy, you are going to map your organization structure, and that in itself defines the default access flow between users in your account. And profiles determine the CRM permissions allowed for a user. So, while profiles define what somebody can do in the system, roles define what somebody can see. All right. So in simple words, this is the difference between roles and profiles. Now, let's quickly look at an example. For instance, let's say there is a very simple linear hierarchy where the sales director in a particular organization, in their sales team, the sales director is at the top of the ladder, and then the sales manager role comes in, and finally the sales reps. So here the sales director has the higher authority, and the sales managers report to the sales director, which means they are one step below, the second rank. And finally the sales reps, which means they have the least authority in this hierarchy. Sales reps report to the sales manager. Okay, so if you map this structure to Zoho CRM, according to CRM's role hierarchy, the sales director is at the rank 1. So this sales director will be able to have access to the data of sales managers and sales reps because they are both in junior roles. And whereas the sales manager will not have access to the sales director's data by default. When you define the hierarchy in such a way that the sales director comes first, and then the second rank is for the sales manager and the third is for the sales reps, that hierarchy in itself takes care of this data access flow, in which the sales manager will now not be able to access the sales director's data but the sales reps data, and similarly the sales reps will not be able to access anybody else's data but their own, because they are now at the bottom rung of this whole ladder. Okay, now we'll quickly take an example of a company. This is a very a sample company, a fictitious company called Zilker Moments, and let's say they have this organization structure. Let's say Zilker Moments is into the sales and services of mobile phones. Okay, so now the sales team is divided into two sub teams where there is a dedicated sales manager for product sales and there is a dedicated sales manager for services sales. All right, and let's say this is their structure where there is a vice president of sales under whom there are the sales managers of product and services divisions, and under each sales manager they have a bunch of sales reps. Okay, let's say this is a very simple linear hierarchy, and let's understand the nitty-gritties, the details of the product, the details of roles and profiles with this simple example. Once you understand the core concepts of roles and profiles, you will then be able to map more complicated organizational structures. All right, so now let's get into the product. So let's just remember these details. There is a VP sales, there is a sales manager for product division, sales manager for services division, under whom there are a bunch of sales reps. Okay, now in this account I have now logged into the CRM account of Amelia Burrows, who is the VP sales of this Zilker Moments company. Okay, now in order to modify user management settings, you need to go to setup, under users and control, go to security control. Here is where you will define the roles, profiles, data sharing settings and the whole deal. Okay, now for this video, let's only look at profiles and roles. First, I'm going to go to the roles. Okay, so here you will define the role hierarchy, which means this hierarchy now has to be replicated to Zoho CRM. Okay, so let's look at what we already have and then build from there. Now we have Zilker Moments Inc. and I already have the VP sales, that is Amelia Burrows. That's on the top of this structure. Then we have sales manager of the product division, and we have sales reps of the product division. Now we need to capture the other division, right? Now this is a second department, sales manager of services. So how do you do this, and how do you add sales reps of the services division? So this is one thing. This is one thing we are going to look at. Now next is the profiles. Now as we know, profile defines the CRM permissions, what somebody can do in the system. So in this existing setup, we already have the administrator and standard profiles, which if you already know, administrator and standard profiles are the default profiles that come out of the box in Zoho CRM. And you cannot delete these profiles. You can make some basic edits, like visibility of the modules can be changed, but the setup permissions are not editable in these default profiles. So you cannot edit much of the administrator and standard profiles. In order to create a new profile, you need to clone from existing profiles, modify that cloned copy, and then save changes. So I already have a sales manager's profile that has some details in it. We'll come to this later. So I just wanted to give you a quick heads up on what is already there in the system. We have administrator and standard that is already available in the system. I didn't do anything. What I have done is just I've created a sales manager's profile with some modifications, and then I have defined the roles for one department, that is the sales manager of product and sales reps of the product division. Now let's go and create build this role hierarchy further and learn about it in the process. And let's build another profile and learn about profiles in that process. Okay, so first I'm going to create sales manager for the services division, that is for Raghav Rao. Okay, now the sales managers are in the same rank, right? They both report to Amelia Burrows. In order to do that, what you need to do is create another role from here that branches out from the VP sales, because you want this role to report to the VP. So I'm going to create sales managers services division, reports to the VP sales. I'll come to this option later, share data with peers. For now, let's just create this role, make sure that this role reports to the right role, and then save this. Okay, now if I go to the role hierarchy, I have another sales manager role created for the services division, and this role is parallel to the sales manager of product, which means the sales manager product and the sales manager services are in the same rank, but they are not going to be able to see each other's data, all right, because they are a different division. Now I need to create the sales reps for the services division, right? And these sales reps should report to this sales manager services. So I'll create another role that reports to sales manager services and call this sales reps services. Simple. Save this. Okay, now we have the required role hierarchy. Very simple. We have Zilker moments, right? If I open this, I know there is a VP sales who is the ultimate authority, at the first rank. And then we have two sales managers that are on a similar rank. Both of them report to the VP sales. And then the sales reps of the product division report to the sales manager of product division. And then the sales reps of services division report to the sales manager of services division. Simple enough. Now let's go and check the users under each. Okay, so now we already have the VP sales, and that is a super admin. This is sorted. That is the account that I'm signed into. Now Martha Hills is the sales manager of the product division. Sales manager of the product division. Let's look at the role now. Sales manager product. So this is correct. Next, we will look at Susan Lawson and Sharanya. These two are now sales reps reporting to Martha Hills. That is sales reps of the product division. So let's look at Susan Lawson. Let's look at the role only for now. Sales reps of product, which is sorted. And for Sharanya, let's look at the role, sales reps product, sorted. So we are good with the product division of this whole company. Let's look at the services division now. Raghav Rao. Okay, now Raghav Rao is mapped to the VP sales because we only now created the sales manager of services role, right? So we have to edit this now. We'll go and edit this role, sales manager services. We'll come to profiles later. We haven't created the profile yet. Now, right now it's mapped to a default profile. I'm going to leave it at that. Now we'll only sort the roles. Sales manager services has been mapped. Okay, now Raghav Rao is sorted. We'll look at Ned Schneebly and Ricky Thomas. Ned Schneebly, what is the role? Sales reps product, which is a wrong role. We only now created the services sales reps. So I will change the role. Save. Ricky Thomas. Now this user is not yet invited to this account. So what we'll do now, as you may have noted, we have now created a role that is applicable for Ricky Thomas. So when I invite Ricky Thomas, I don't have to create a new role for him. I will only map Ricky Thomas to the right role. In this case, sales reps of the services division. Right now, I already have the role sorted for a new user. Okay. Now let's look at the behavior of this. So according to our role hierarchy, Amelia Burrows is going to be able to see everybody else's data, and the sales manager Martha Hills will not be able to see Amelia Burrows' data, but Martha Hills will be able to see Susan and Sharanya's data, right? And Susan and Sharanya will not be able to see anybody else's data but their own. Let's look at how this works in the system, whether this is replicated correctly. Okay, now we are in the account of Amelia Burrows. I'll go to the leads module. Now this is Amelia Burrows' data. As the super administrator and as the VP sales, Amelia Burrows will be able to see everybody else's data. This is all of the leads in the entire system. Okay, we have about 12 leads here. If you see, Amelia Burrows is able to see records that are owned by Martha Hills, Susan Lawson. Okay, now I have switched to the account of Martha Hills, who is our sales manager of the product division. And if you take a closer look, this is all the leads that Martha Hills is able to see. That is Martha Hills and Susan Lawson. What does this mean? Martha Hills is now not able to see the records owned by Amelia Burrows. Automatically, the role hierarchy has taken care of this factor. That is, the manager is not able to access the VP sales' data, which means a person in a junior role is not able to access the data of a person in a senior role by default. The org structure has taken care of it. But this manager is able to see Susan and Sharanya's data. So we only have Martha Hills' own records, her own records, and Susan Lawson. There is no records owned by Sharanya yet, so we are only able to see this, but you get a hang of this. So the manager is not able to access the VP sales data, but only the sales reps data. And if I further switch to Susan Lawson's account, this is the CRM account of Susan Lawson, who is the sales rep of the product division. Now Susan Lawson is not able to see anybody else's data, not Amelia's, not Martha Hills's, but her own. Alright, so this is how the role hierarchy works. The moment you set the organization structure this way, define the rank correctly, that itself will take care of the default data access flow. So far we looked at how data flows between users of one division, like the product division, right, between Martha Hills, Susan Lawson, and Amelia Burrows. Now let's take a look at how data flows between users in the services division, whether Raghav is able to access Martha's details, or whether Raghav Rao is able to access Susan Lawson's records. What happens with the services division, because this is another department altogether, right? So for the sake of a quick example, I have added some more records for the users of the services division, right? Raghav Rao and Ned Schneebly. So now again we are back to Amelia Burrows' account, that is the VP sales. VP sales is able to access all users' records. Now let's go to Raghav Rao's account. Now Raghav Rao is again the services manager, like services division's manager. So Raghav Rao is able to look at his records, okay, records in his own ownership and Ned Schneebly. One important point to note is Raghav Rao is not able to access Amelia Burrows' data or Martha Hill's or Susan Lawson's, right? Because this is a different division. So this kind of mapping helps you take care of data confidentiality between users in your organization, that is between two departments. So though the sales managers are in the same rank, though the product divisions manager and the services divisions manager are on the same rank, they are not going to be able to access each other's data because the role hierarchy is set up like that. That said, you can have facilities where the data is shared among users in an organization via data sharing methods, but we'll deal with that a bit later. For now, we'll understand what is the default settings offered by the role hierarchy. So this is the default settings. That is, you set up roles in the form of senior or junior roles, and people in the senior role will automatically be able to access the data of people in the junior roles. But people in the junior roles will not be able to access the data of those in the senior.